Good afternoon, everyone. BC Richfield here, coming to you live from London. It's just got a couple of minutes, or actually just 1 minute past midday at the moment. That's how punctual we are feeling today. How's everybody doing? A huge shout out to everybody that's watching this or listening to this live today, as well as everybody that is watching or listening to this on catch up later. So how is everybody doing? How are we doing? Jojo Lee, good to see you. Truth will prevail. Hi, friends and family. Lovely sentiment on this Monday morning from a pretty frosty London, actually, today. But thank God, last couple of days, the rain and the wind has stopped, although not quite the same as the rain and the wind in Poland, which hits different, my new favourite country in the world, I think, and people. So how are we doing? BT dominance looks like it can go one step further up. That means we could see a little bit more bleeding. Absolutely. Well, what I've got on the chart at the moment... excuse me, is I actually got a little bit of time off booked at the minute. Not that you ever really have time off from this market, but some really dear friends of mine are here. So going to take them all up to London this afternoon, and some people that are very, very dear to my heart. And we're going to go and enjoy ourselves. But always with one eye on the market. I have positions set, I have limit orders set. I want to get you guys into my thought process here with very much still focused on swing positions as we are. Calvo Apex, our wonderful Erica. How are we doing? Great to see you all here. Guys, as always, this week I'll be back Wednesday as well. We're not going to miss any of the live shows. What I would say is if you've got any tickers you want me to take a look at, then just absolutely throw them on there. I don't know, Abhi, B&B. I know that our FA guy, Chris, is on top of it all. Chris Crypto Assessor, he's been looking at the FUD that's been going out there from like 07 Labs and stuff like that. So we are on top of it at the minute. I think these things can be overly sensitive, right? So you can just get these big flushes based on, on news. But I think ultimately what we're going to look at now is we're going to take a look at these levels. We'll come back and take a look at DEAI. I was really, really a big fan of this trade. It was so healthy. Ultimately, we exited. We took lots of profit on the way up, and we exited here anyway. We had our invalidation point, which is always so important. Yes, certainly will. Truth will prevail. Of course we can, my friends. So let's take a look at Algo. Again, I can feel Chris, our crypto assessor, our FA guy, twitching with that one. He's been deep into Algo for a long time. Litecoin as well, that old school beast. Do you know what? I bought some of that a while back, and I always buy it just for the culture. All right, that's what I say. Monero, Jesus, I haven't heard of that in a while. So XMR, thank you very much. WIF, yeah, exposed to WIF as well. So brilliant. Let's take a look at them. You know what? I'm not really going to mess about. I'm just going to kind of jump into it. If you guys have got any questions, please do remember a couple of things right before we start. One, all the information you need about how you can join us is available in the description below. All right. So, one of the oldest surviving crypto community since 2017, tens of thousands of members. We've produced hundreds, if not thousands, of professional full-time traders who now trade for a living. We're an education-focused community. We also provide trading team calls, of which we've been profitable for 16 out of 17 months, quite often by a considerable amount as well. You get access to all of those calls. We have partnerships with the very best companies in the space, and we have one of the finest trading teams in the world who I would put toe-to-toe with absolutely any fund. Very few out there, I think, that can really kind of match that. So if it is of interest, you can find all the stuff in the description. That's all I'm going to say on it, right? If you've got any questions, you can reach out right now. I just really want to get this absolutely kicking. So how are we doing? A few more people sliding in. Excuse me. Who have we got? Millibit. Hello, my friend Victor. Hello, mate. Mammoth. Hey, great to see you, brother. Call me Sledge. Good to see you as well, mate. PK11 ETC. Yeah, sure, we can take a look at that, my friend. And Miguel Sanchez. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, well, should we start with ETH? Yeah. Let's start with our old friend Ethereum. And let's get a nice clean chart up here as well so we can take a look. Beautiful. Okay, so as we know, well, actually, before we do that, let's take a look at Bitcoin dominance. Okay, now we can see 4 hours, we can see this spike back to the upside. You know, what you can do is you can overlay, you know, Bitcoin's price or Ethereum's price is probably a cleaner example on here. All right, you can just go up to this plus sign up here. You can find something like Ethereum and then you want it on a new price scale. All right. And literally, like, you know, you can basically just see as this starts to drop, Ethereum's price starts to go up. That's your kind of leading indicator for the altcoins, right? And then you've got, which I realized earlier is all the way down here for some reason. So I must have been farting around with this for some respect because this should be up here. Probably just accidentally deleted it on my phone or something and then re-added it. So we've got these, right? So you've got your total 3 chart. We're just going to pop Ethereum off here. Yeah, so we got the total 3 chart. All right, we got others. Yeah, so that's without the top 10, I think, basically top cryptocurrencies. All right, your total 3. And look, you're basically just looking at these. They look very, very similar at the moment, right? But when we're looking at the 4 hour here, we can see how we just had this wonderful run up here for alts. And now we're seeing that corrective move. But just ask yourself this, right? This is a regular chart. We see we've got our support, resistance levels, everything like that. I mean, if we kind of... we'll probably box this out here, I would say, something like that. And why would we do that? Look at the wicks coming into this. I mean, there's an argument it goes a little bit deeper than this, maybe kind of down to here, but, you know, semantics really. When you get up to, you see the resistance, what do we get? We get that strong, we get that good body close below. Price starts wicking into this area. Can you see how the wicks to the upside show you the absorption, showing you that there's sell pressure there, right, from a clear area of supply? The same as we get here, the same as we get here. And what we're doing is, as you look along these levels, you're just trying to find these kind of key areas that engage in a very similar way, right? So kind of something like this, I would say as well. Yeah. And then you kind of draw this across and you say to yourself, because remember, you know, it's all great when you've got all the information there, but when you've got this here, you can clearly see, yeah, we've got support leading to these kind of pumps. Ultimately, you then have this strong breakdown and you look how this area rejection. Ultimately, price can't sustain it here. And then what we get is a clear break of structure. This here is then the trigger to go lower. Now, obviously, we don't trade this chart like this, but ultimately, we want to make sure that we are absorbing the information. Then you draw these things across. They act as an area of mitigation, with long upside wicks coming until we get the close above, retest, and we're away. This was very, very similar to what we were looking at in terms of the XRP trade that we took with members yesterday. So I posted an XRP swing trade. Sunday, always a little bit risky, but we are going to take a look at it. You know, moved stops very early on that one for a very good reason, right? Just because what the market information was telling us, ultimately you get these outliers that still run quite hot. But anyway, I'll show you and run through that. But what am I looking for at the moment? Probably something like this. This to kind of come into here, reclaim this. And then I think we're in a good situation then to move a little bit higher. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for here. And, you know, we could either see Bitcoin have a little bit of a resurgence here, pushes this down a little bit further. BTC dominance, obviously, we want to keep our eye on that. We want that to be doing the opposite here. We want this to just continue to fall off a cliff. If we're looking at this here, this is pretty messy, but the key thing that I would focus on here is this kind of down move. Right, this down move here is what led to this huge expansion. So it's no surprise that we're seeing some kind of bounce here. Obviously, what we want to see here is this. We want to see price, you know, ultimately kind of come up, mess around here, come back below, yeah, retest, and then on the breakdown here, this is where, you know, obviously, again, we're not looking to trade this per se. What we're looking to do is see that kind of pattern emerge, see the breakdown, see price dropping down into these areas. Remember that, you know, we can see price come all the way down into the 50s, 40s kind of area here. yeah, is really where we want to then be considering the fact that that this could be, you know, starting to go the other way on us. All right. So without further ado, let's get back to ETH. Pretty concise from me actually tying that up in 10 minutes. So hopefully it just gives you a little bit of a view on the market. If you've got questions, guys, do please put them in the chat. If I don't see them, if anybody in there can kind of pop them into this. I don't always get all the questions come through into the studio because we're streaming across YouTube, Twitter, other bits and pieces as well. So ETH, I mean, look, Jesus, it really doesn't take a lot to see that this has been one parabolic run up. And look at previous ones, right? Parabolic run up, what happens? Price really starts to cool off. Now, I don't want people to panic thinking, oh my God, that's it, bear market's here, etc. These corrections or these corrective moves, sorry, are incredibly, incredibly healthy for the market, right? I mean, look at this massive run up that we had here. If we go back to 2021, look, probably akin to this section of the market move here. And this is what we're currently facing, right? So all we want to do is we just want to remove the panic and we want to think, okay, well, where's the key support and resistance here? You know, if we were to look at this here, you would need more information, right? But one of the things that I'm always looking at when we set new highs, how those highs are respected, all right? It's just a good way to say to yourself, to give yourself kind of like a borderline support and resistance, yeah? Look, it's never going to be absolutely perfect. In fact, it's probably like this high here, actually, that ends up being the really key one because look, resistance, 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 strong close, retest, deviation, back above, retest, price goes away, okay? But look at the run up. We had this massive run up here, corrective move here. So let's have a look what we had. Correction top to bottom was 36%, all right? So then we had this next stage of the run. Price really runs hot again. Look up, corrective move again, back up into it. And then we have this big kind of flash crash that goes off to here. Price consolidates and then continues to rip again, right? So all we want to do is, I don't really ever try and set kind of price targets as such, right? What I try and do is just look at what the charts tell us. And then we're looking for how price moves based on liquidity, all right? Where are the buyers? Where are the sellers? Where can we look to get involved, right? And if we look at this move up so far, you can really see what a tiddler this is, you know, compared to those ones that we were just talking about, you know, 36% corrections and that, and people are panicking today over a 6% correction. You know, the biggest corrective move we've had in this run up so far is 12, I think. Oh, about 12.5%. All right. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm really not panicking about this. What I do want to do, however, is I want to kind of know my key levels here. And I really like this kind of area, right? Why? Look, we kind of wick into this area here. Wick, wick, wick. Price comes up. That's quite a decent close there. Nice bullish engulfing candle. Let me zoom in for you. Breakdown, retest it. Price sells off. Rejection, rejection. So resistance, resistance. Ultimately, this is why we've been preaching caution in the Discord. All right. Whenever you're coming into a key resistance, stop freaking longing it. Right. I mean, it just. You know, look how structured the market was heading up, right? Look at focusing on the down close candles that give us our order blocks. What do? We set the order block here, area of demand, price breaks up, nice, heavy expansion. Something you can do with your Fibonacci's here, if you use a traditional fib especially, I've got a few of these turned off on here, but if I move this to one of my old ones, right, look, see how it engages with the 382 level here. Now, that's great in hindsight. When you see it break this range, yeah, then you can be pretty certain that this thing is continuing up. And then you look left and you go, well, where are the key levels? It's this high and this high here and just this general area. Why that? Because we normally want to see a deeper corrective move down towards the kind of golden pocket area or certainly back to the 0.5. And then you see that structure break and that's where we go. However, if you start to hold these higher levels here, like we've done, then, you know, that's really, really key because it's showing strength. All right, so then you can see that that move up is probably going to be a little bit more potent as it was. However, if we're looking at this section along here, right, what have we got? So we got the golden pocket down here. We can see that we've had this way up. Look how when we take our Fibonacci range from low to high, these act as like really great levels of support and resistance. Yeah, support here, resistance here, resistance closed above, but look at how beautiful that is. I think, you know, seeing anything correcting down to the kind of 50% here is absolutely fine. Yeah, I think the key is that you would just start to see people panic, especially if we start coming in, taking out this low, for example, because people will think, oh my God, you know, that price is coming down. We've taken out this low. The key is what we do here if we come down to there, right? because it's very, very different if we break down from here, we show weakness, especially if we kind of come up and deviate this level here. Okay. However, we might reclaim this. Then you want to see a bit of consolidation above, right? And then again, this is the area that we can be interested in being buyers again. So ultimately, where does it leave us? Well, key area of interest for me here on the daily, obviously we're at this point of rejection here. So I'm interested in this order block here. All right. On the daily, I think ETH, if it's going to come in and hold that, why this on that one was never retested. This one here was retested. Yeah. Price did what? Closed above it, allowed us to get, our bids filled here, and ultimately price moved a little bit higher. This for me is just a big area of caution. Okay. I think until we, have a clean break above here. And what do I mean by clean break? Well, I want to see a decent bodied candle, right? You want to see a good body candle close above it. Then what you want to see is price kind of come down, consolidate in this region, give you a breakout. And then, as sketchy as those lines look, that's pretty much what we're looking for. Do that a bit thicker so you guys can see it. So yeah, that's where we are on the daily. Now, to finesse this down a little bit, and I don't really want to move on to the lowest of low timeframes here, because I think at the moment it's about positional plays. Where are we here? Well, this is its own kind of expansion leg here, because it's swept to low and it's moved up. However, the clear and obvious leg for me here is this. It's why Fibonacci's can be a little bit, they can be a little bit subjective, all right? But again, look, we've closed below the 382 here. Evening whack, my friend. How the devil are we? But we seem to be having a nice reaction at this order block at the moment. Now, we've got the 0.5, we've got the 618. Something that's really interesting for me down here is this. I tell you as for why, is because it will be a really key liquidity pool down here. So we know that's below our golden pocket. So what's to say that we don't see something like this, right? If we fail to hold this level, yeah, we get down below it. A real kind of flush into this, but a very quick recovery. If we get that V-shaped recovery, right, then ultimately, I think this is where we then want to kind of step back in. All right, to see something like this, just to see that sharp, aggressive move and then that quick recovery. All right, like we got here, for example. All right, look what happened. Price came in, took out some key liquidity below these lows here. Then what happened? Price came up. We ultimately shifted structure here. And then look, again, on the higher time frame scale, we've got this level here. We also had this one here, and you can see we got the close above. The retest of this was really, really clean. Invalidation here was tricky. All right, that's one thing. It was just a little bit tricky. Yeah, I think this is a really good point as well, mate, from Ludwig here. Like, is just, fuck these corrections. The problem is in bear markets and stuff like that, people are just begging for pumps, when what you should be doing is you should be looking at those rips to sell them, okay? Or just waiting for your kind of range bound environments, and then you just play the range like, you just play the range like this. Right, here's your range. Brilliant. Yeah. Sell the deviations, buy the deviations from the low till you get a clean breakout like this, and then you accept that price is heading into another level of acceptance. Jesse, hello, mate. But yeah, I think, look, ultimately, just look at this chart. What have the dips been good for since, basically since the beginning of the year? I think it was, well, I know it was because I was there with him in September when, down here, when Crypto Bird was calling for the bottom here, right? And he's really not one that's in the habit of kind of, once bitten, twice shy. We've all been there making predictions. They go wrong. You make people millions and you give them hundreds of amazing trades. And then the one that you get wrong, people crush you forever because people are fucking idiots, in truth. Pardon my language, but they are. And most people don't want to be helped. If you're one of the ones out there that does want to be helped, make sure you're learning your own stuff. You're learning from these traders. And ultimately, your decision's your own, where you put your money, right? No one's telling you or forcing you to do this. But this is where he started positioning, and he started making a lot of money on these runs, right? This is ultimately where it really, really kicked off. Okay, this was in November. So during that time, let's just take a look, right? What's happened here? So consolidation. Yeah, so that's the dip to buy for the rip. Yeah, another consolidation, right? How many of these have not worked out? So if you miss this one, you miss this one, you miss this one, guess what? If you step in on this one, yeah, and it's crushed you here, then stop thinking that the market's a scam or people are out to get you. Just take ownership of it and go, okay, why did I do that? Let's look left. Fuck. Like, look, that's Okay, I didn't even know these were on it, but this is why we were shorting from all the way up here. Right? We're just into this resistance, right? So then you learn from that. And then the next time you come to the chart, you're someone that's buying these dips and these dips. If you've been hurt on this run, don't just think, oh God, it's over. Just think to yourself, okay, what can I learn from it? We learn so much more from our losses than we do from our wins. Nick, my friend, how the devil are you? Very cryptic hello from you today, but maybe oh no, it's all right. It didn't come through on my chat, but there it is. But ultimately, look, if when the dips stop working, yeah, then we reassess. But think how far we have to still come down here, right? Just to be able to kind of have any kind of invalidation. We'd want to be taking out this low here, or ultimately I'd be focusing this a lot more on the daily. And like I said, the earliest one for me really is going to be this low down here. And that's still only a shift in structure. So remember, the price would need to do this. We'd need to break this, set a lower higher, and then break this low down here before we even shifted structure bearish, okay? So it's natural for price to kind of run into these situations. How can we get involved in it? Okay, that's the next question. So I like to see price running clear levels. Pitt, my brother, talking of levels, this guy is the level wizard, just our new absolute rising star or superstar, really not sure he's rising so much anymore, just kind of getting himself on the public scene. One of the best price action traders I've ever come across, and just, you know, someone it was amazing to spend some time array, another Polish brother of mine now, and building up so many of my closest friends. Turns out that they're from Poland. Absolutely crazy, even considering moving there to be with these legends. But guys, if you're not giving Just Pitt a follow, please, for the love of God, reconsider it. Like, honestly, I'm not even joking. Someone asked me the other day, or a few people, really, really big accounts, excuse me, said, who is the most underrated trader on the whole of X? And there's a lot of really, really good ones, by the way, like a lot. But I tell you right now, it's Pitt, right? It's Pitt. Just either don't copy him if you hate, don't follow him if you hate money, but if you like money and you want really good education, honestly, follow him. I really mean it, Pitt. I really mean it. He's fucking exceptional. My alts are nearly 10% down. Time to take some profits. Well, I mean, it's up to you, really, my friend. What I would say is typically you probably don't want to be selling. You don't want to be selling the pullbacks. And Hannah, our wonderful Hannah. Hannah was one of the first people with me with my very first live stream, probably 3.5 years ago now. Hannah, it's wonderful to see. I hope you're doing exceptionally well, my friend. So let's take a look at this question, shall we? And then we're going to rip through the charts. We've got about 20 minutes, and I'm going to call this a day. Let me take a sip of tea. Right, so on the charts, we're going to look at DEAI, XRP, Algo, Litecoin, XMR, WIF, and ETC. All right, just going to finish this, but I think this is a really, really good question here because people are starting to panic, right? So, and I'm not saying that you are, by the way, John, but I think your question kind of relates to a lot of people. Pascal, hello, mate. Another beauty from the Discord. So if we're looking at this here on ETH, quite simply, what I'm saying to myself is, what's my horizon for this? Why do I want to hold ETH? Am I holding it as a scalp trade? Is it some kind of low cap that I think has got a really shaky future ahead of it, but it's something that I can make some money on right now? No. ETH is the daddy next to Bitcoin, right? When Bitcoin's not at home, you know, ETH's handing out the orders. It's as simple as that. So for me, you know, looking at this whole move up, in fact, I'm meeting with a friend of mine tomorrow, right? And, you know, really, really good friend of mine, unbelievable stylist and just a wonderful human being as well. Used to work with Robbie Williams on his tour and just an exceptionally nice person. He's got a great property portfolio he's built up over the years. Him and I are very interested in properties as well. So when we've kind of been involved in properties over the year, we've discussed it. Now he wants to sell some properties and position himself into Bitcoin. I said to him, well, okay, first of all, we need to talk about balancing a portfolio. We need to talk about, you know, what your kind of long-term targets are. Because for me, am I adding to my ETH spot bags? Yeah, I would add to my spot bags here because I basically do on all of these. Yeah. But the key is my time horizon is long. Multiple years. Yeah. So people think, oh, I didn't buy in down here, or God, you know, I didn't buy in all the way down here. It doesn't matter because look what happens. Yeah, look how markets work. Some people buy in here. Amazing. You know, other people are buying in here. What you want to do really is you just want to be averaging in. Yeah. So you buy a little bit here. Nice dip here. Maybe this consolidation here. Even if you're buying all the way up here, right, which at some point you have to say to yourself, where are you approaching in terms of all-time highs, bits and pieces like that. But look, then when price comes down to here, the key thing is what people do then is they sell, right? And then the positions they've got up there are underwater and they're losing money. It also then averages their position terribly for all of these good buyers down here. What you want to be doing is just buy some more here, yeah? Maybe buy some more here. Then you see this big flash crash. You go, oh, okay, we've wiped out some key liquidity. I'll buy some more here. Price goes down again. Okay, I'm buying here. I bought here. I even bought in these lows here, right? So ultimately what's happening is these buyers that I'm having higher up, their price is getting lower to match itself to the price of the ones I had lower down. And then basically what I'm buying ends up in an equilibrium. So that's the really big difference between buying and trading, right? So if you're looking for trades, then typically I don't look for really, really long-term trades. Sometimes I will, especially on traditional market assets. But this is, as Jojo is saying here, yeah, dollar cost averaging. All right, now, Burb, with his just immense market knowledge and wisdom, would tell you that, you know, there's different ways to approach that dollar cost averaging as a technique. Excuse me, as an ill-educated street hoodlum that basically fell into running businesses and found some success doing it, and then basically became obsessed with trading and decided really that I wasn't going to let no be an answer for that. I just told myself that I was going to succeed at that, and I worked incredibly hard for a lot of years. And when I say hard, just so that people know, because a lot of people ask me about this, and I had a great conversation with Follis about it, because Follis is a really, really rare gem, you know, becoming a really good friend, but just a guy I've admired for a long, long time, exceptional trader, wonderful human being. He was, you know, he had a really meteoric rise over kind of a year, 18 months. And I think that's just because he's so intelligent as well, guys, you know, a solicitor or a lawyer to any of you Americans that might be listening. And just, you know, his mindset. But ultimately, what we both agreed on was that when we said we put our heads to do this and conquer it, we were working like 10, 12 hours a day every day. That's no days off. There's no holidays. There's no breaks. There's no going down the pub with your mates. There's no late nights out on the piss. I didn't even drink alcohol for 2 years, right? And I'm someone that those that know me understand I do love a drop. But, you know, if you put that in, you find good community to work with. Obviously, I'm going to show you mine because I think they're the best community out there. But there's others as well. Just find people you can relate to, people that are there for you, people that provide good, proven education. All right, then you can go leaps and bounds. But anyway, off topic a little bit. The DCA point is really, really interesting for me here. So I'm just happy to add on these. I think ETH, you know, like I say, I don't really think about targets now, but I think ETH will, you know, ultimately work its way up to around the 10K region. Just think about who it's integrated with, who's working with it, who's looking at it, who's investing in it, the ETH ETF, all of these things, right? Now, if we were to look at something a little bit more obscure, right? So I'll follow this up on the next chart. So with this one, look, I'm kind of interested here, but not madly. I'll tell you as for why as well. If we just go and Craigie boy, how the devil are we? You good, mate? Wonderful to hear from you. I hope you are keeping well and not working too hard, mate, although I'm sure you are. As we look at this over here, yeah, I'm also looking and saying to myself, okay, what are equity markets doing? What are the bond markets doing? We see the bond markets are up, showing a little bit of strength there. We can see the dollar index today as well. If we take a look at the DXY on our ranges work really well for us here. We see the deviation price got underneath retest. Now really looking for this to, you know, probably start the week a little bit well and then ultimately break down. And I think we head down to the range lows. You know, this point I'm always banging on about 105.099. That's what we want to see there on the DXY, right? So weakness in the dollar often means that we see strength in risk assets, which is where we then switch our attention to things like the S&P 500, right, and the NASDAQ. And this is the NQ, the mini contract for that. And you can just see what a tear this thing is on, right? Just on a tear of all tears, just smashing new all-time highs. It's just a beast. So what does that tell you? It tells you the market's got an appetite for risk. And especially if we look at the NASDAQ and we look at the S&P 500, it tells you that it's got an appetite for technology, okay, for technology stocks. Bitcoin obviously falling its realm into that technology is very much a risk asset. Reason for that often being that the company's valuations far outweigh what they generate in revenue. And then we kind of get into the whole kind of argument of earnings and bits and pieces, which I won't kind of go into. I don't want to keep it that kind of macro. But looking at this, I'm just asking myself, are the conditions good for risk? Yes, they are. Okay, great. So let's take a look at Bitcoin, right? What's Bitcoin doing here? So So going to just cover this very quickly before we go on to the other alts. But I put a post out on Twitter the other day, and forget this at the moment. We'll look at this on the lower time frame, right? I said KISS, right? Keep it simple, stupid, right? Sounds really offensive, but it's not really. It's something funny enough that my memories that I do have of my father before he abandoned us was one of the things he used to say. And it sounds like an abusive thing, but it's really not. It's actually, very good statement, because you just don't try and overcomplicate things for yourself. What's capping the market here, right? This is what's capping the market. Look at all the wicks coming up in this area. Look what happens when we get a close above and retest price rips. Why the hell would you want to be short there? Yeah. Why the hell would you want to be long there? Just long there, short there, long there, short here, right? Short that. Price comes down. Maybe you get stopped out here, or maybe you catch a really great short all the way down before price closes back inside. Then what happens? And I said about this, price closes above here. So I'm bullish. Where am I bullish to? Well, I'm first of all just immediately looking for the nearest liquidity, which is here. Look at this huge wick. What was this designed to do? Take out liquidity from this side of the market, take liquidity from this side of the market. So now as we drop down onto a lower time frame, yeah, you can start to see it again. Look at how the wicks start to build in these areas. This was obviously ridiculous. This ends up being a huge deviation, flash crash. People really panicking about this. This got bought up aggressively, really aggressively. So if we look at this wick here, what I would say is I would look at this wick and I would go, okay, let's look at the 50%, the equilibrium of this wick, which is here. Yeah. What's in and around that region, these lows? If I saw price come down, yeah, take those out and we get that recovery here, then absolutely happy days. I'm all over that. However, if price continues to hold this area, if we get back above here, yeah, then I'm interested here as well. All right, just ultimately looking and identifying those key areas for support and resistance. Now, I put this out on Twitter last night. And like I said, I'm just going to get rid of this blue box for a minute. This blue box was the order block here. We closed below it here, and we certainly came down and violated the equilibrium of it, right? So I'm not really as interested in this now, right? What I'm looking at this for is an area of mitigation. Do we come back in here? Are we building any really key bearish arrays? And we did. And this was the short trigger here. And why was this the short trigger? Well, I tell you as for why. Yeah, price came back down into here, and I said on Twitter, and you can see it. Let me go back and grab the post up for you. You can have a very quick look. Oh, I see other really good people that do this on thingy. Here we go. Let me give this a little quick share with you. Obviously not as smooth as those devils, but it is something to take a look at. Here's the post, right? So just quickly, BTC, hold the box. Simple. I mean, this green box at the top, you're doing it in the phone because it was late last night, so I was chilling. But look, all the wicks coming down into it. So this is what we're going to take a look at now, right? And I'm going to show you why this is important. So we had this breakout, right? This area for me was really, really obviously capping the market. Long wick here, resistance, resistance, strong close above, support, support, close beneath, wicked into, sold off, wicked into, sold off. Gets back above here with a close, support, 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 closes below, deviation, back above. This is why I was long here, right? And same with XRP, had something very, very similar, which we'll cover in a minute. And we saw this pump go up. Now, what I said in that one is hold the box as we were in here. Closed below it here, retested it here. That's your first short trigger, all right? And the fact that we've had a really nice, descending triangle breakout retest here that's then failed shows that price wants liquidity lower down, and my first kind of real key target here with these equal lows. So let me just draw those in. And then the second trigger was here because we closed below this. We set this order block here. Yeah, same way as we did with this one. You then look for price to move up on the lower time frames. You look to short it down to key liquidity. Ultimately, that's what we're looking for. So really simply on Bitcoin, just need to see Bitcoin back above here. A little bit of consolidation and up we go. I think, hold this area here ultimately. And then I think we really start to rip again. But I'm really, really happy with, I'm really, really happy with this in terms of the way that we played this at the moment. I think it's ultimately a good point for caution. I really want to see some deeper pullbacks as well. I don't really know what else to say. I think a lot of very good analysts saw this kind of correction happening, which is why we took some positions out. And actually, let me show you, because I was very vocal about this, and then rightly so, some members were asking me, they're saying, okay, that's fine, but was there not, what were you thinking about, sorry, in terms of, I did this on Bybit actually, because I was apex with this one, I think. Yeah, well, why were you thinking that the market could correct here, yet you were happy to go along with XRP? Well, what we've got is we have some very kind of narrative-driven markets as well. And ultimately, I try not to let things really kind of get into my head too much about this, right? As long as there's enough strength on display, as long as we're seeing enough, then I'm happy to take those. And look what we had here. So resistance, deviation, support, get underneath, resistance, get back above, beautiful retest, price comes up. So price came in to retest this area here. So I put a note out to members. I said, I'm going long here on a position, wide stop here on XRP, just in case, the Bitcoin moving back, the market's correcting, was that deviation, and the ones that show the strength, they're the good ones to long. People often get mistaken thinking about this. People often think, oh, along the laggards, rather than the ones with strength. And often that's not the right thing to do. The same way as it's not always the best thing to do to short the ones with strength. Find the ones that are lagging those that have had those rips. When the other one starts to turn, typically the weaker ones will break down a lot faster. So with this one, it was kind of like an opposite thought process of that, really. So we had this beautiful correction here. Price dipped back. I said, look, I'm a buyer here at the box. We saw this really nice kind of reaction here after dipping into this area. Took out a local low. I was aiming for this low, but I said, I'm going to take a position here. If we come back to sweep this, if the conditions are right, as in if we'd done it here and then swept it. But ultimately, this was a point at which I moved stops to entry. The market had turned pretty ugly at that point. Things were starting to pull back. Seemed unlikely the momentum would be there, especially factoring the fact that it's a weekend. Then we had the added catalyst of traditional markets opening as well. Okay, so those factors alone. So updated everybody in the Discord, guys. Look, stops are going to entry here, and then updated everyone again this morning that position had been stopped out, but we'd made some profit. And we didn't cost us anything, right? So for me, that's how I was weighing up the risk to reward on that one. How are we doing? Millibit, BTC large X50 in the 97,500 region. Sorry, mate, what do you mean by that? BTC large X50 in the 97,500 region. I'm not sure if you're talking about liquidity mapping, mate. I do use it from time to time. I find it can be a little bit noisy, often kind of using it to find out where those key kind of high over leveraged players are. Morning, Simon. Hello, mate. Hello. Right, so let's start ripping through some of these all, shall we? We're going to give it about another 5-10 minutes, then we're going to wrap things up. Quick guzzle of tea, and we're away. So let's start by looking at DEAI. Was it potentially? Hang on. No, I've got it down here. I can't remember who I'm trading it with at the moment. I'm sure it was it is with Lexi. There we go. So DEAI. Yeah, I mean, this obviously pretty self-explanatory. In fact, no need to go on that one. Go on a different one. Let's just try the one here on Gate.io. DEAI for me was really, really simple. Chris, our fundamental guy, came up to me and he said, this looks immense. You need to see if there's any opportunities to find some long play positions. Started tagging it around here when we started holding this bullish gap. All right, what else did we have off the back of that? We had a really nice shift in structure here. Price came up, held this gap here, and ultimately, buying into this as we started to move higher. Then what I'm doing is I'm just looking for these order blocks. This is for the down close candles to support price on the way up. Really nice, simple plan. Price coming up, looking for the retest here. Ultimately, when you start violating these kind of areas, didn't really give you much opportunity to get in there, granted. But when you start violating those areas, then ultimately, which I say ultimately a lot lately, but looking for these areas of consolidation. And then what happens when we revisit them? Yeah, so this one, for example, which was really key, expecting that to support price. When you get a big close through it like that, this is where you're looking for weakness and you're asking yourself, okay, where is this thing going again? That was the last point that we saw some serious support for price in here. And that was the sweep, which was completely recovered. So I actually think this looks okay here. think it looks all right to me. I mean, I think what I would want to see for a little bit of extra confirmation here on the 4 hour is price close above this and confirm this is the order block. Yeah, close above. Oh. Close above here, obviously not with some weird wonky candle like that. Close above, and then on the lower time frame, looking for something like this, right? Price to just take that sweep, have that recovery, and then move up from here. If we continue to break down, we continue to break down. I'm still not really actively, looking to short these markets at the moment. But I think this is quite clean on here. Would I get super aggressive? Yes, I've got you. Truth will prevail. Don't you worry, my friend. I've got, or maybe millimeters. You're looking to dump a 50x leverage bid at 97,500. Yeah, not really the way that I trade, my friend. But if you've got the right confluence there, you absolutely do, you brother. Yeah, I've got you covered as well. Truth will prevail. I have got Algo and Litecoin coming up in a moment. So from here, I'm not really interested in this on the hourly, to be honest. I've got no real key kind of SR here as such, nothing that's particularly clean. This move down, I'd be relying on my gaps and bits and pieces. So I think I would just want to see a break with impulse here. Ideally, probably see these lows cleared out if I was looking to trade this off on the hourly. Something like this, and then a big move up, and then to come back into some kind of gap here. That's where I'd look to be a buyer, because then I've got a clean invalidation below that low. All right. That's what I'd be looking at DAI. I covered XRP with you guys, right? Let me just find a clean chart here and I'll give you a look over slightly broader term view here on XRP. So this is the last point here on the daily. The area that we found key support was in this gap. So that's still obviously of interest here. I think, we've tickled into this here. I think this is the key thing, right? Is just hold this gap and ideally take out some kind of key low to take that liquidity. So what would we do here? Moving the market in the wrong direction. People see this as the lower high. People think, oh my God, we break this, everything's going to go to oblivion. At the end of the day, it's often what, the markets want you to do. Go back into here, get this recovery, and then we move up. Close below this. Yeah. And then we have inefficiencies resting here. And we have this order block resting here as well. Okay, so obviously it doesn't look as awful as that does, but there. So then all of a sudden this becomes a key interest area here. And you want to start seeing price coming in and having those quite strong reactions. Yeah. So that's where we are on that. Let's look at the 4 hour very quickly as well. What would I need to see on here? Well, actually, you know what? If I get in my fib out here, arguably this is the beginning of the move, but that is a fairly healthy correction. But that did take liquidity, so I'm going to favor that one there. Golden pocket at the end of the day, always a really, really, really kind of potent area. If we're in here on the golden pocket, I think then, again, look how these levels work as such wonderful support resistance. Yes, for anybody shouting this out, it is hindsight because you've had this whole move, but it's not when you replay it, is it? That's what I'd say to those people, is when you know how to draw these properly, you're not saying, low to high, I would have bought here, I would have bought here. Of course you wouldn't have done, because that price action hadn't happened. What you're doing is you're using this in retrospect to look back on what happened here and say, okay, well, why wouldn't I want to potentially be a buyer here if we came and reclaimed this level? Yeah. Or if we do something like this, and watching these reclaims, if ultimately you start giving up and then you start doing something like that, then you have a different plan, right? So really, really, really powerful tool is the Fibonacci. And then what you can do from here, how I'm looking at XRP, is I'm looking at those levels and saying, okay, how does that match up with any kind of support and resistance? And one thing I can see through here, you've kind of got this level here, actually, which is of interest. Something like that. Maybe it kind of goes a little bit higher into here as well, into the bodies of those. But yeah, focus really heavily on the wicks here. Get back above this. And then I think we tear. Yeah, because we've got this high here. You got these highs over here. So I think get ourselves back above this. Yeah. And then I think we're moving up into here. Retests into this area. Met with a rejection like this and the retest, then that's where I'd be looking to go short into these aforementioned areas, which are the high probability levels, in my opinion. Okay, so that's where we are with XRP. So here we go. Truth will prevail. Let's take a look at Algo. Let's take a look. I mean, a lot of these are going to look really similar, right? Huge period of consolidation followed by really kind of parabolic breakouts. Now, the market doesn't overly enjoy inefficiencies, so that is a target. I appreciate it's a long way down, right? But the key for me is I'm not going to freak out if we get it. What I'd love to see is this low taken out with a flash crash, and then price ultimately recover this level, and then either looking to this for a retest or looking for the gaps and the order blocks as they prevail, and then looking to trade them on the way up. All right, on a daily scale, this is just purely a consolidation here. All right, if I'm looking at the level that's capping the market, I'm looking at this. Okay, so that's 0.52439. All right, why? Because that was the wick high that was set there. That was the daily high that was set on December the 1st. And then we've had higher highs, but we've certainly had no closes above it. Yeah, so you can do it like that, or, you can do it something like this as well. I mean, arguably it is quite a large area because you've had a lot of wicking up into this, but I'd certainly as a minimum allow for these, prices kind of come back down into these diminishing highs as then you're looking to purge out. But I really do feel like a lot of these alts are going to take these lows. All right, so that's at 0.43058. If we're looking at this on the 4 hour, basically exactly the same scenario that we're in, that we were just looking at there, right? So we draw this up here, and we go okie doke. You see how we've kind of just lost the golden pocket on this one, though? You don't get that immediate kind of bounce. However, there is a nice 4 hour gap here. So I think the way that I'd be looking at this is I'd be saying, okay, 4 hour gap. As long as we hold this, if we have a 4 hour close below this, first target, second target this low, and ultimately this daily gap below, I think if we start to show some resurgence here, let me just think about a level that I'd want to see this back above. Yeah, so decent reaction there. So, okay, I mean, this is a little bit messy in here. I would probably suggest an area, I mean, it is quite difficult this, right? But I'd probably say something like this. This is very messy here, right? But look, rejection, support, deviation, retest, price rips. This area kind of holds here, but it's very, very messy. Overall, you've got this consolidation here as well, which should drive price down if we get the retest. But if we get back above it, then I think we can rip here. So I would kind of be looking at that area there. All right, and then obviously we're slamming back into this, but it doesn't have to be an area. Typically, we will look to take out some of these highs up here. So establish ourselves back above, we move higher. The more we reject into this, I think this target down here at 0.43058 comes into play. Let's take a look at this Litecoin. So what do we got with our old friend Lighty? Yeah, really key. Roinuj Shah. And apologies for murdering your name there, mate. Obviously, I'm British, so I'm terrible. You're very welcome here, my friend. Thank you for saying hello in the chats. Hopefully, it is good for you. I'll slide it in for you. It's going to be a super quick one, though, Nick, but I'll definitely slide that in for you. Look, this is the same, right? So it's almost not worth bothering with this. I think the key downside target here is this. Litecoin doesn't even have a swing low here on the daily, so that's the daily. 4 hour here, I think we probably just kind of slipped below this area here. All right, so again, let's get ourselves back above this. Why this one? Okay, it's a little bit loose, but look, rejection, support. Price is now closed beneath this. Ideal scenario for me is this: pull back to here, find support here, get back above, and then rip. Yeah, on Litecoin, that's absolutely where I am with that one. If we drop this down now onto an hourly, we can see how this level becomes more relevant. Rejection, support. And again, we can see here that you kind of already had that rip below, retest, and now price is looking to sell off. A couple of key lows down here, I would say. Watch how price reacts at this key wick low, which is also equal lows with this one. If price starts to kind of hold firm here, I think there's more chances we recover this. If we start to break down below this, I think we purge lower down into that high time frame gap down there. So XMR, good old Monero. This one brings back some memories for sure. Take a look here on Mexi. What have we got? Yeah, well, I mean, a really big kind of consolidation here, wasn't there? And then price just absolutely popped. Big inefficient moves like this, especially on some slightly lower cap ones, can often lead to deeper corrections. So again, I'm looking at the gap here. I think that's absolutely key. A difference that we've had with this one is we did kind of set this order block here, right? So the fact that we're kind of purging down into this on a daily scale, if I'm looking at this high to low, and I look at the 50%, then you can see this been fairly well respected. I think I closed below this on a daily scale. Chances are we get a deeper corrective move into here. And again, I think we got a really lovely pre-made sweep level all in there for us on the daily, which is there. Truth will prevail. You're very welcome, my friend. Very welcome. I do like these downside wicks. These here are really showing me there's a lot of buying stepping in here, right? I think this level here as well actually really does work very nice as a kind of market cap. So I think we get back above this. I think then we can really start to have a tear. But I think a purge down to this area before recovery would ultimately be best here. It's actually holding up really well along here, right? So a lot of strength in this one at the moment. Just want to see those downside wicks really start to prevail here. We start getting a few long ones here, and I think we can really have a bit of a rip. Dedicated Savage is a brilliant name as well, but you're absolutely in luck because Whiff is our next ticker. So very, very quickly, because I can feel my back of my head burning because I know I'm due out very, very soon. So let me have a look at this. Let's just get this. I mean, that worked bloody lovely, didn't it, as well? That area of support that we were looking at, you know, every so often give yourself a pat on the back and say, you know what, these crazy ass lines we draw on these charts really do their stuff from time to time, right? Let's just get rid of that for a minute, but I want to keep that on there, okay? So this is a key area. I think if we zoom out a little bit here, we'll see that we had a high time frame gap, right? So weekly gap in here, yeah. Filled that, price ultimately moved up, happy days. Looking at this on the daily now, see, this is the kind of thing that I like, right? Because I think you can very, very quickly see, even if you don't worry about all of this mess and all the noise over here, you can very, very quickly see here that there's a key area of support and resistance, right? Why is that? Just even don't worry about it fitting everything for all time ever. Focus a little bit on recency, yeah? Close below, resistance, 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 resistance. Resistance, what happens? Big, beautiful close above it, retest, we rip. Now, my boy Pitt would be all over this. He'd be so long here, you know, and he would let you know about it, and he'd be right. And then look, holding, price moving up. So this is the line in the sand for me here, actually. Just see this level here hold. It's around about 0.2, it's 2.975, sorry, down to 2.844. Start coming down and breaking down below that. I think we sell off while we hold here. I think we're in really good shape. So I added up on some whiff, and I've been adding all the way up. I even bought some in and around here, I think, right? So happy with that though. Fine, it's bringing my average order price up, but I'm just still happy to keep buying this on the way down. I really do think that these dips are a gift. Now, equal lows here, which makes me feel even more so that we flush this out. I think what I need to see is I'd want to see this candle close in about 3 hours time, leaving a bearish order block here. For me to do anything, for me to take any triggers before we get down to this region, I would need to see price, first of all, close above here, right? And then I would look for a pullback, and then I'd look to go long from there when this was inverted, all right? Without that, not really interested. I think we're coming down towards these areas here. So ETC and Sol. Do you know what? They took me out for a wonderful dinner recently, Coinbase. Let's give these guys a little bit of love, shall we? Daily's here. This order block's been doing a fantastic job here of supporting price. So let's have a look here. Like that order block there. If we come back for a retest of that, I think that looks really, really good. No real clear and obvious kind of support and resistance. I think is a little bit lower down here. Looking at these wicks, something like this, I would say. I'm not saying I expect us to purge all the way down here, but look, resistance, support, support, support. Break below, resistance, 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 break above, small support before it flushes out, and then ultimately stay below that resistance, resistance, flip it to support. I don't think we're going down that low, by the way, but if we do, then I'm really looking to be a buyer down there. One thing to say on here is we've just swept this low. So if we're going to see any kind of early stage recovery, I would imagine it's going to be from here. But yeah, nice bullish gap down here as well. Balanced price range just below it. A lot of confluence coming in with this level. So I really, really like that. Again, I'd need to see the price close here, leaving some kind of bearish gap here. If we invert that gap back to the upside, I'd expect these highs as a minimum to kind of be targeted. Until then, I do think this order block's at 32.90 is the likelihood. All right, and then one more and we are away. Let's take a look at Solana here. So Sol holding up this weekly gap very, very nicely here. Okay, so just going to pop this on very quickly. Remember, this is a weekly gap, right? I'm not even going to draw that in, actually, just because we're not going to wait for the weekly close. It's Monday. I think we have a daily one here. Yeah, exactly like that. So beautiful. Maybe a flush down to this level here. We've got a support resistance level here as well. Obviously, currently acting as support. We can see the engagement with it over here, you know, based very much as well on some of these. I mean, obviously, you've got a slightly deeper kind of region running in here, but without it being too ridiculous. Yeah, look how well this did. All right. Again, look, strong close above, retest, bang, price moves higher. So again, this whole area down here, I think, is ripe for the picking. I'm just really hoping that we get it. And that's no offense to you if you're exposed to these things. If you're holding, just freaking hold. It's just really as simple as that this time of year. If you're wrong, you're wrong. Just hold it for longer. Just don't expose yourself to anything that you cannot afford to lose. All right, guys. Now, I'm really sorry. I know we've got some other requests coming in here, but I just simply don't have time to say, like I said, I'm actually on leave at the moment. I've got some of my most beloved people in the world that I'm taking out into London today. So unfortunately, I can't be much longer. I will literally get fucking murdered. Thank you all so much. Jojo Lee will catch up with us. Hopefully the dulcet tones help get you to see almost 4,500 people live with us today, which really goes to show you that there is that little bit of panic. Not saying I don't get lots of you lovely people normally, because I know I do, and I'm absolutely blessed and I love every single one of you. But yeah, you can see there's a little bit of panic in the market at the moment. Another area that's key to watch, by the way, that I just kind of noticed here is probably this, right? Really key area. Resistance, resistance, support, support, support. We're now down back at this. So I think if we catch a bid here and we invert this, then it's going back on. All right, legends, I'll try and put some posts out. No, I still work with kind of thingy lines, but I think they're just a little bit more subjective, right? These kind of breakout lines. If I've got that drawn on my chart, do I anchor it there? If I anchor it here, then yeah, I'm not the best at. I do with some though, mate. I really do. But I find the horizontal lines to really do take a little bit more of the edge off. But as we can see here, catching a nice bid from here at the moment. So let's not get too excited. Let's wait for those recoveries in either structure or the support resistance flips, and then we will rock and roll from there. Have a fantastic week ahead, everyone. Please do drop in and say hi to all those legends at the nest for me and take care of them for me. Trading team's going to keep you well informed over this time, as will I. Have a fantastic week ahead, and I look forward to seeing you all around the nest.